What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, just as I predicted, undefeated, unified, WBC, IBF, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Errol Spence Jr., outclasses former two-division world champion, former junior welterweight unified world champion, former WBC welterweight world champion, Danny Swift Garcia. He won, just as I predicted, 8 rounds to 4 on the judges' scorecards. With that said, Errol Spence looked exactly like him old self. Errol Spence looked, phenomenal, in phenomenal shape. He was pressing the fight all night long. In the second half of the fight, he was pressing the fight, but once he got into like the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds, he started to box Danny Garcia. He knew he had it in the bag. So instead of pressing the fight at that point in time and taking chances, he started to wind it down, which gave Danny Garcia more opportunities. But just as I told you guys that, Danny Garcia is not a proactive fighter. He's a reactive fighter. So he was relying and trying to wait for Errol Spence to throw punches because he is a counterpuncher. He needs his opponent to be very, very active so that way he has his opportunities. But with that said, even when Errol Spence was being active and Errol Spence was letting his hands go, Danny Garcia's limitations just showed up in the ring. He doesn't have fast feet. He doesn't have the fastest hands in the world. He has power because he's flat-footed and he sits down on his punches. But for the most part, Danny Garcia has a lot of limitations. He's not that athletically gifted, right? Errol Spence have fast twitch muscles. He's more the superior athlete. So in the ring, it showed up tonight. Errol Spence, like I told you guys, he was going to be able to get on the inside, mix it up, and then get back out before Danny Garcia could have any success. And that's exactly what happened. Errol Spence was going to the body with the straight right to the body, with the straight left to the body, and then he would get out of harm's way. Then he would dart back in with hooks. He was mixing it up. And just like I stated, he's more versatile. He's just more skills. He has more tools in the toolbox than Danny Garcia. This is not to take anything away from Danny Garcia, but Danny Garcia has a lot of physical limitations. He doesn't have quick feet. And if you don't have quick feet at this high level, you are not going to be successful against the upper echelon in the sport of boxing in your division, especially at the welterweight division. Errol Spence is athletically more gifted than Danny Garcia, and it showed up tonight. His jab was better than Danny Garcia. His straight left hand was better than Danny Garcia's straight right hand, because you understand, for a southpaw, the straight right hand is the kryptonite, and for an orthodox fighter, when you're fighting a southpaw, the straight left hand is the kryptonite. And so all night long, Errol Spence's straight left hand to the body, straight left hand up top, and the hooks, left hooks and the right hooks, everything was working for him tonight. Danny Garcia and his father, trainer and manager Angel Garcia, was hoping that that Errol Spence had lingering effects from the car accident. But I know a lot of people was picking Errol Spence to stop Danny Garcia, to knock out Danny Garcia, and I told you guys that absolutely was not going to happen. Danny Garcia has a granted chin, even though at times in this fight he was buzzed, but he has a granted chin. Danny Garcia is not a guy that has a weak chin. He's never been dropped. He's never been stopped. He's never been knocked out. I didn't expect that to happen tonight. Errol Spence was putting a lot of pressure on him, as Errol Spence was putting pressure on Kell Brook. Similar in the first round. I was surprised by that, because I thought that Errol Spence was going to just utilize the ring, outbox Danny Garcia, as he did when he fought against Mikey Garcia. But he showed that part in the later rounds. He was, asking Derrick James what round it was. Derrick James at times got annoyed with the fact that he was taking these chances and he was playing around in the ring. And Derrick James said, listen, stop playing around with this guy, because he still is dangerous. This is not a game. Stop playing around. Errol Spence showed that he is indeed top 5 pound for pound fighter in the world. Obviously, a lot of people have undefeated 3-division world champion, former undisputed junior welterweight world champion, and currently the WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Terrence Bud Crawford, who is widely considered the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. But I have to say that I have Errol Spence at I'm on the verge of replacing Terrence Crawford at number one with Errol Spence at number one, because the performances that Errol Spence is putting on are against much tougher opposition than that of what is Terrence Crawford is facing. Terrence Crawford, November 14th, faced former IBF welterweight world champion British superstar boxer Special K Kell Brook, and he stopped Kell Brook in the fourth round of their fight. But the first three rounds, he struggled to get, his distance with Kell Brook's jab, and then ultimately he stopped Kell Brook. But his last, yes, he has 5 stoppages in a row. He stopped Jeff Horn for the WBO title when he made his debut at the welterweight division. Then he stopped Jose Benavidez. Then he stopped Amir Khan. Then he stopped Igis Kavalauskas. And then he stopped Kell Brook. So he has 5 back-to-back stops at the welterweight division. But those are not the upper echelon in the welterweight division. So with that said, Errol Spence has just fought 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia, who was undefeated and was a world champion on pay-per-view. He beat Mikey Garcia handily. Then he fought 2-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Sean Porter in the unification bout. Sean Porter was the WBC champ. Thus, the reason why Errol Spence holds the WBC title right now. He beat Sean Porter, and now he just beat Danny Garcia handedly. And I told you guys I thought that he was going to, handedly beat Danny Garcia. I haven't seen Danny Garcia take this much punishment in any of his fights. Danny Garcia's face showed the results of Errol Spence's accuracy. I like Danny Garcia's timing. I like his power, and he has deceptive hand speed. But his timing was null and void due to the athletic ability of Errol Spence Jr. He showed that he's just more versatile. So the punishment that you saw Danny Garcia take tonight, he didn't even take that much punishment when he faced off against former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. Nor did he take that much punishment when he's fought against Sean Porter in their fight. Now, I thought Keith Thurman let off the gas in the second half of the fight, making the fight closer than what it should have been. He clearly won the first half of the fight. He was, again, the more athletically gifted guy in the ring with power and accuracy and more speed. Sean Porter, same thing. Sean Porter, I believe, started to want to mix it up in the second half of his fight with Danny Garcia, thus giving Danny Garcia more opportunities. If you have a high volume and a high output, you give Danny Garcia, who is a natural counterpuncher, because he's limited in his athletic ability, you give him more opportunities. And so that's what they did in the second half of their fight. Errol Spence, at times, gave Danny Garcia too many opportunities. That's the reason why I said that Errol Spence is going to win 8 rounds to 4, and on most of the judges' scorecards, he won 8 rounds to 4. So what that said is because in the second half, like Derrick James was saying, he was letting off the gas. Even Sean Porter said he gave Danny Garcia back-to-back rounds because Errol Spence simply was letting off the gas, and he allowed Danny Garcia to have success, right? Because I feel like a lot of people feel like it's easy when they're in the ring with Danny Garcia. They get comfortable, they get relaxed. And they just start to, take their foot off the gas. And I think Errol Spence at times was doing the same thing. You saw him start to bounce on his toes and give Danny Garcia different looks and misdirections and things of that nature. But for the most part, like I stated, he was more gifted in the fight, and it showed. Now I want to see what happens next. We heard 8th division world champion, iconic, legendary superstar boxer, who's currently the WBA welterweight world champion after he defeated Keith one-time Thurman for the WBA title, and that is Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, the legend in the sport. His manager, his team, they said that Manny Pacquiao was watching with a close eye tonight. He wanted the winner. He was looking forward to possibly facing the winner and start negotiating. They're in Dallas, Texas, according to reports, and they're looking to negotiate a fight. That's a unification bout. That's for the WBA. So 3 belts will be on the line. WBC, IBF, and the WBA belt will all be on the line should they eventually meet up. In that fight, you got 2 southpaws. Manny Pacquiao has the edge in quickness, right? He's still very, very quick, even at 42 years of age, 41, 42. By the time this fight happens in 2021, he's still very, very fast. He has very, very fast feet. He still has power, as we saw in the Keith Thurman fight. But obviously, Manny Pacquiao's timing is not there as it used to be. Manny Pacquiao's defense is not there. And Errol Spence showed that he could cut the ring off. He has a high ring IQ, and he has power, and he's very accurate. He was showing, his jab to the solar plex. then Manny Pacquiao's advantage of being a southpaw will be null and void because obviously Errol Spence is a southpaw. But Errol Spence has the longer arm reach. He's the bigger guy. He's the more youthful guy. So I would expect Errol Spence to win that fight against Manny Pacquiao and then go into a possible showdown, massive mega showdown with Terrence Bud Crawford. That's the fight the boxing world wants to see. It's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. It's the race to Manny Pacquiao because whoever wins and fights Manny Pacquiao obviously is be a huge pay-per-view and they'll have the edge in the negotiations. So let's see what's next for Errol Spence. Let's see what Manny Pacquiao decides to do next, and let's see what Terrence Bud Crawford decides to do next. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.